Order. Questions to the Prime Minister. Mrs Sharon Hodgson.
Mr. Speaker, I have been asked to reply on behalf of my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, who is with the Deputy Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in Scotland today to listen and talk to voters about the huge choice they face. And their message to the Scottish people is simple. From the people of England, Wales and Northern Ireland, we want you to stay in the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, I join the Prime Minister in the tribute he paid on Monday to Jim Dobbin, who died at the weekend. He was a proud Scot and a hard-working and principled parliamentarian who was respected on both sides of this House. He will be very sadly missed, and I know that the thoughts of the whole House are with his family and his friends. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and in addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Mrs Sharon Hodgson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I join the Leader of the House in paying tribute to our very good friend Jim Dobbin? He was a kind and thoroughly decent man, and he will be sorely missed. And indeed, our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Pat and their family. Mr. Speaker, the bedroom tax is discriminatory, it's damaging, and it's not even working. On Friday, this House was very clear. Will the government now listen? Will it scrap this wretched policy? Because if they won't, we will.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is a basic issue of fairness here, because if you live in private rented accommodation and receive housing benefit, these rules applied throughout the whole of the last Labour government. And we had a situation in which neighbouring households could be treated unequally. She asked about the private member's bill. The proposals in that bill could cost the country up to £1 billion. And because we've introduced a cap on overall spending, making those changes would mean finding savings elsewhere. I haven't heard any suggestions from from the party opposite.
Mr John Redwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assuming a no vote in the Scottish referendum, who in the government will represent England for the new devolution settlement? Who speaks for England? Because we need a voice and a new deal.
Well, there are many of us who, having represented Yorkshire for 25 years, I can claim to speak for England from time to time. Yorkshiremen are keen always to speak for a far bigger area than they represent themselves. And, of course, all of these debates are to be had once the referendum is concluded.
Harriet Harman.
Can I thank the Right Honourable Member for the words that he said about our good friend and colleague Jim Dobbin, and add my tribute to him on his sudden and tragic death at the weekend. He was, as has been said, a thoroughly decent man who always stuck to his principles, and at a time when it's fashionable to say that politicians are in it for themselves and are out of touch, he was the absolute opposite of that. Our deepest sympathies are with Pat and their children, and we will miss him greatly. Mr. Speaker, historic is a much overused word in politics. But does he agree with me that in just 8 days' time, the people of Scotland will make a truly historic decision? This is their vote, but I want the message from this side of the House to be heard loud and clear. We want Scotland to stay.
I do agree with the Right Honourable Lady, and that is a very clear message from her side of the House and from our differing political perspectives from this side of the House as well. And I hope, therefore, the message the people of Scotland will hear from this House, where Scottish parliamentarians have made an immense contribution for generations, is that we want to stay together and indeed cannot imagine life on these isles without them. She is a London MP and speaks for millions in what she has just said. As I just referred to, I'm a Yorkshire MP who served as Secretary of State for Wales. And we are all proud to be British, combining those identities. And there's no doubt we would all be diminished if Scotland was separated from the people of the rest of the UK.
Harriet Harman.
The roots of our party are deep in Scotland, and we delivered devolution and the Scottish Parliament, but we need to go further. Will he confirm that there will be further devolution and a Scotland bill setting out new powers will be published in January.
Well, as the Right Honourable Lady knows, that the three main party leaders have come together to agree to develop a programme for change. The Right Honourable Member for Kirkcaldy and Cowdenbeath has set out a process for how that change could be delivered to a tight timetable. All three main parties have endorsed that timetable, and it means immediate action the day after the referendum to start the legislative process. It means a command paper including proposals at the end of October, with a full draft Scotland bill published by the end of January, and the introduction of a bill after the general election, regardless of who forms the government. So that is a clear timetable, and it shows that Scots can have change without irreversible separation and without such risks to jobs and to their future.
Harriet Harman.
Kim, for the clarity of that answer, as we set about devolving further powers to Scotland, does he agree that the time has also come to devolve further power to Wales and, crucially, to the great cities and regions of England too?
The decision next week, of course, as we all know, is a matter for the people of Scotland, but the implications will be felt by all the people of the United Kingdom. We are already steadily devolving increased power to parts of England, as well as have been doing so in Wales. Under this government, Wales has received more primary lawmaking powers. We're moving towards devolving tax and borrowing powers for the first time. We want to see devolution in Northern Ireland succeed. In England, the Localism Act devolves power of business rates to local authorities, and city deals have given local areas more of a say over their governance. The great strength of the United Kingdom is that it is not a rigid union. It is a living, flexible union, and that is one of its greatest strengths of all.
Harriet Harman.
For us, on this side of the House, a fundamental principle of our politics is solidarity. We want the UK to stick together in the cause of social justice. Does he agree with me that it's wrong to set the different countries of the UK against each other, whether it's on workers' rights or on corporation tax?
Well, the Right Honourable Lady makes a powerful point about solidarity in the UK, and for 300 years, we and our predecessors have sat in this House with Scottish parliamentarians and their predecessors, and they have sat together from the 18th century to implement a great range of progressive causes, from the abolition of the slave trade to our pursuit of human rights and sound development across the world today. We've often led the way at times of world crisis and been an inspiration to democratic peoples elsewhere. And the next 300 years could easily be as turbulent and dangerous as the last 300 years. So to tear apart a union so proven, so precious and so valuable would be a tragic mistake for all our peoples.
Harriet Harman.
People in Scotland can now be certain that with a no vote, there would be change and more powers for Scotland. Does he agree with me that posed against that certainty is the uncertainty that a yes vote would bring on so many issues like jobs, pensions, mortgages and the currency?
The uncertainty it would bring is impossible to list in the answer to one question, but a letter signed last week by more than 120 job creators from across the whole range of Scottish business concluded that the business case for independence had not been made, and they said uncertainty surrounds a number of vital issues, including currency, regulation, tax, pensions, EU membership, and support for our exports around the world. And they said uncertainty is bad for business. The Governor of the Bank of England said yesterday that sovereignty and a currency union are incompatible. And he is right. Many of us have pointed that out for many years in relation to another currency. And be certain of this. Be certain of this. This is not an opinion poll where you can change your mind the next day. It is not an election where you can reverse the result 4 or 5 years later. It is a permanent decision that will affect generations, and therefore the votes cast next Thursday will probably be the most important vote that can be cast in any country at any time, and the voters must therefore weigh that vote heavily.
Harriet Harman.
Whilst jobs, pensions, taxes are important, next week's decision, as he rightly says, is about much, much more than that. For sure, there must be change. We must have that, and we will, but not by tearing this country apart. We must stay as family, not become foreigners to each other.
I absolutely, the Right Honourable Lady puts it extremely well. We all want the best for Scotland, just as we all want the best for our own constituents from all parts of the UK in this House. And the people of England, Wales and Northern Ireland believe Scotland is better off in the UK, and the UK is better off with Scotland in it. So this referendum is the most important choice the people of Scotland will ever make, a choice between the opportunity and security of staying in the UK or of leaving forever, without the pound, without the UK's influence in the world. With Scotland as part of the UK, we have the best possible situation and a great future together in the United Kingdom.
Mr. Christopher Chope.
Mr. Speaker, since 2012, my right honourable friend and I have been supporting the policy of the government not to offer so-called Devo Max as a consolation prize in the event of a no vote in the Scottish referendum. If this is no longer the policy of the government, when and why did it change, and what opportunity has there been for this House to express its view?
It has been the policy of the government for some time to be open to further devolution, and I gave examples of what we have done in Wales, for instance, during the lifetime of this government. The statements by the party leaders made on this in the last few days are statements by party leaders in a campaign. Not a statement of government policy today, but a statement of commitment from the three main political parties, akin to statements by party leaders in a general election campaign of what they intend to do afterwards. And it's on that basis they have made those statements.
Carl Turner.
In 2012, the Chancellor set himself a target to double exports to 1 trillion by 2020. I wonder whether he would confirm that his government is on course to miss this target by a massive 330 billion.
Well, of course, nobody can claim to know what the figure will be in 2020, since we're only in 2014 at the moment. A great deal of work has to be done. But we have greatly intensified the promotion of British exports. That is why I, in my time as Foreign Secretary, opened nearly 20 new embassies and consulates, including many that the party opposite closed when they were in power. That's why we've revamped UKTI. We have huge increases in exports to countries like China and India and Brazil, and everybody of all parties and businesses must join in making a success of that by 2020.
Henry Smith.
Mr. Speaker, my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition are rightly campaigning today for the future of our Union. On a daily basis with Gatwick in my constituency, I see the strong family and business links between my local airport and Scottish airports. Does my right honourable friend, the Leader of the House, agree with me that our great kingdom is better together as a united Britain? And I say that as somebody with proud Scottish ancestry.
Yes, I absolutely agree with my honourable friend, and what he can see at Gatwick Airport and what we all experience around other parts of England and Wales is a very good example of his point. In fact, 2/3 of Scottish exports are exported to the rest of the United Kingdom, twice as much as to the rest of the world put together. Why would anyone choose to place an international border where those exports are going, and do so unnecessarily? So my honourable friend makes a very, very powerful point.
Pete Wishart.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the House is of course right. Next Thursday, the Scots go to the polls to make what is undoubtedly the most historic, important and momentous decision we've ever had the privilege to consider. It's a process that's galvanised and energised every community in Scotland. Will the Leader of the House join me I know we want different things from this outcome, but will he join me in congratulating the Scottish people for the way they've gone around conducting this incredible debate?
Well, I'm happy. He is right. It was a gentle understatement that we want different things from this process. But of course, we applaud the people of Scotland for taking such an immense interest in this on all sides. Of course, it's very important that there is a high turnout in any such referendum. So I absolutely congratulate the people of Scotland, but I don't congratulate those such as his own party who have failed to be straight with the people of Scotland, who have never explained what money Scotland will use and what its value will be, who have never explained how long it would take to rejoin the European Union and on what terms, who have never explained how they would fund schools and hospitals when there would be a £6 billion black hole in their finances, who haven't explained that their threat not to pay debts would be disastrous for Scotland's long-term future. They are passionate about Scotland and they're passionate about separation, but they're not passionate about telling the truth to the people of Scotland.
Sir Bob Russell!
Embracing 3 centuries, the garrison town of Colchester has welcomed thousands of Scottish soldiers, many with their families. We wish that to continue. Does the Leader of the House agree with the Defence Select Committee that if Scotland ceased to be part of the UK, and we have the best armed forces in Europe, this would pose serious security and defence risks for a separate Scotland without the capacity to defend itself?
Well, my honourable friend makes an extremely important point. He sees the participation and the work and the sacrifices of members of the armed forces from Scotland when they are deployed in Colchester. I see that in Catterick Garrison in my own constituency. He makes an important point about the security of all of us. And of course, this is important for Scotland as well, for Scotland's security. And we have to bear in mind that, for instance, Her Majesty's Naval Base Clyde is the largest employment site in the whole of Scotland and is going to get bigger with the deployment of all of our submarines there. And these things are put at risk by a campaign for separation, as well as putting at risk the security of all of us.
Mr. Clive Betts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last Thursday, I attended a public meeting of Bayton in my constituency, where the doctors in the Bayton and Southall practice were consulting their patients about how they were going to deal with a budgetary cut of 22 to 24% by the year 2018. This cut of 22 to 24% has officially been notified to them by NHS England. Will the Leader of the House confirm that if the Conservatives are in power after the general election, these are the cuts that my constituents can expect?
Well, I can confirm that this government has raised the NHS budget in line with inflation, which his party was not committed to do at the last general election. And, of course, I know the Secretary of State for Health will want to discuss with him the details of the local situation, but I hope he did explain to them that overall, since the last election, the number of nurses is up 3,700, the number of doctors is up 6,500, the number of people who say they're treated with dignity and respect is up 10%, and we've now been ranked as the top health system in the world according to the Commonwealth Fund, moving from 7th in the world 4 years ago.
Caroline Spellman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would my right honourable friend applaud the initiative of Prince Harry in creating the Invictus Games and welcome all the participants to this country on our behalf?
Absolutely. This is an extremely important continuation of the developing, immense and proud sporting history that we have in this country. We are now established again as one of the great sporting nations of the world. And we're also a country that thinks deeply about the welfare of service veterans. And His Royal Highness Prince Harry has been one of the great champions of this, and we wish him and everybody involved in the Games very much well.
Mr. Gareth Thomas.
In 2012, the Prime Minister said that he wanted to see economic growth that meant rising living standards for all. Can the Leader of the House tell us then why Britain has seen one of the largest falls in real wages of any EU country, beaten only by Cyprus, Portugal and Greece?
Well, he might remember that there was a debt-fueled deep recession that came about under the previous government. And of course that has to be paid for. But after 4 years now of the disciplined policies of my right honourable friend, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, we now have the fastest growth of the G7 economies. We have employment nearing a record high. We have nearly 2 million new apprenticeships who started in this time. This is a remarkable economic turnaround from a catastrophic situation we were left.
Gareth Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Leader of the House agree with me that Scottish independence is not about getting one over Westminster? It's not about embarrassing the Prime Minister or the Leader of the Opposition. It's not about defeating the old enemy. But it is about Scotland turning its back on 300 years of successful union and rejecting so much that this country has made to make us all so proud of being part of Great Britain.
Well, my own friend is right that it's not about any individual or party or election. It is a far longer-term decision than that. And I must say, look, in my experience all over the world, other nations regard the UK with admiration and sometimes even envy. If Scotland voted yes all over the world, people who share our values and count on our contribution to peace, stability and human rights would be disappointed, while those who don't share those priorities and beliefs would be quietly satisfied. And that is another thing we all have to bear in mind.
Mr. Barry Gardner.
At the end of last month, my constituent, Mr. Krishna Upadhyaya, disappeared in Qatar. He had been arrested by the Secret Service there because he was investigating the human rights abuses of workers who were working to build the infrastructure for the 22 World Cup. And I thank the Foreign Office for their help in securing his release. But what action will he take to speak to the ambassador of Qatar about the disgrace of arresting him in the first place and about the treatment of those who are preparing those facilities?
Good question. Well, the Honourable Member raises an important case, and he's right to say that the Foreign Office has pursued it and achieved some success in doing so, as we will do in any parallel cases in the future. I know that the Embassy and the Foreign Office will want to follow up these matters. That is for my successor, the Foreign Secretary, to determine. So I will draw his attention to the question asked by the Honourable Member and ask him to write to him about it.
Neil Carmichael.
Mr. Speaker, with mounting evidence of an innovative, very vibrant and growing real economy, especially in manufacturing and engineering, does the First Secretary of State agree with me that Scotland should remain with us, first to share in the fruits of that success, and second, to give us a bigger footprint in the global trade?
Yes, I do. This is another very good point, and the economic turnaround that has now been brought about in the UK means that employment in Scotland is now at a record high. There have been 7 consecutive quarters of economic growth in Scotland, and there are 250,000 more private sector jobs in Scotland than there were 4 years ago. That is a reminder of the potential if we continue to work together. And that is the message that I again repeat to the people of Scotland today.
Caroline Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome suggestions that the Prime Minister will attend the crucial climate summit at the end of this month. Will he confirm that the Prime Minister will go? And will he tell us what bold new initiatives that the Prime Minister will be taking with him? Because that's what my constituents in Brighton say they want. They want to protect what they love. They want urgent action on climate change.
Order. Can I just say, for future reference, it is disorderly to display images in that way. And I say with all courtesy to the Honourable Lady, whose principal commitment I respect, that if everybody did that on every cause, it would make a mockery of this place. I ask the Honourable Lady, I ask the Honourable Lady to take a view much wider than her own immediate preoccupation. The Leader of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The answer is that the Prime Minister will attend the UN General Assembly later in September. We haven't yet issued or finally decided his precise schedule, but of course we're looking at attendance at the meeting that the Honourable Lady refers to, and Britain will continue to play a leading role in the world in bringing about legally binding agreement on climate change. The next 15 months is a very, very important period on this, leading up to the meeting in Paris at the end of next year. We are one of the most active countries in the world in climate change diplomacy, and the Prime Minister and other ministers in New York will be fully conveying that, whoever attends the meeting.
Keith Simpson.
Will my right honourable friend, explain to the House why it is that, with the possibility that there could be a yes vote, finance is leaving Scotland? Many businesses are thinking of leaving Scotland. Surely, if the economic arguments were so good for the yes campaign, the reverse would be happening.
My honourable friend makes a very powerful point that the anxieties of businesses are very clear to see. And while we can understand people doubting the word of politicians about economic events, it's very important to listen to what businesses say they will do with their jobs, with their headquarters, with their investments, because a country that separated itself from the fastest growing economy of the G7, that put itself outside the European Union without thinking about the implications of doing that, and that ended up with no central bank and unsure which currency it was going to use, would, of course, find it difficult to attract new business to its shores.
Margaret Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership leaves the health service vulnerable to some of the worst possible outcomes of this government's privatisation programme. Private investors will be able to hold the government and devolved administrations through the Investor-State Dispute Settlement Tribunal. In that respect, how can the Leader of the House guarantee that the health service, including the health services in the devolved administrations, will be exempt from TTIP?
Well, my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Business, Innovation and Skills, has been dealing with these matters and has held a briefing about such matters. So I have no doubt we can furnish her with more details on these issues. But it is very important to maintain a commitment to free trade that has been a characteristic of the United Kingdom over many centuries, and which has invariably brought greater prosperity to the people of the UK as well as to people all over the rest of the world. And the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership is another major opportunity to boost free trade across the world.
Davis.
Mr. Speaker, a vote next week in favour of an independent Scotland will have major damaging implications for Wales. Now, does my right honourable friend agree with me that my fellow Welsh citizens who care about the future of our Welsh nation should be hoping and praying for ejection of the breakup of the United Kingdom?
Yes, absolutely. I think they are. I regularly consult with at least one Welsh citizen, and they are, on the evidence of that, they are very much hoping and praying that the UK will not be broken up. And my honourable friend, I know, speaks very well for his constituents in mid-Wales. All of us in the United Kingdom would be diminished by the breakup of the United Kingdom. We are something greater than the sum of our parts, and that is well understood across the UK, and the impact on Wales would be unmistakable.
Andrew Gwynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Patients Association has found that 6 in 10 people couldn't get a GP appointment within 2 days of them needing one. Can the Secretary of State explain to the House why then his party won't support Labour's proposals to guarantee a GP appointment within 48 hours?
Well, professionals in the health system have said going back to that sort of target would be a counterproductive thing to do. And the honourable member knows very well that the number of people treated by GPs has increased by many millions over the last 4 years. That is a trend that is continuing. Of course, we're always trying to seek further improvements, but reintroducing the old failed targets of the last government is not the way forward.
Mr. Lee Scott.
Mr. Speaker, when I travel abroad and I'm asked where I come from, I'm proud to say I'm British. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that you can be proud to be British but still have your own identity of being English, Scottish, Welsh or from Northern Ireland, and we should all remain together and continue as Great Britons?
Well, I don't think anyone could have put it better. My honourable friend definitely has his own identity in so many different ways. He has expressed that beautifully, including his identity with the United Kingdom, and that is how so many of us think in Britain, and let's hope it's possible to continue to do so.
Reverend William McRae.
Mr. Speaker, can I support the visit of the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister and also the Leader of the Opposition, speaking directly to the people of Scotland? My right honourable friends and myself and honourable members, speaking on behalf of the vast majority of the people in Northern Ireland, want the United Kingdom to stay together. And it is my hope that some of those who are crowing today may be disappointed after the referendum.
Well, that's certainly my hope as well, and I'm very pleased the right honourable gentleman has been able to make this point, because it means that in this short question time we have heard from members from England, Wales and Northern Ireland with a very clear message to the people of Scotland that we want them to stay.
Mr. Richard Fuller.
Mr. Speaker, my parents will soon celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary. My mother was born in Aberdeen and my father in Cambridge. Is my right honourable friend reassured that there is no need for any senior politicians to come to their anniversary event? Because my parents know in their heads and in their hearts that in their union, as in the other union, they are happier together and better together.
Well, I extend the congratulations of Her Majesty's government to his parents, and indeed of the whole of the House of Commons, and I think all the political parties in it, even of the Scottish National Party, probably on this occasion. They are an example to us all, particularly after 60 years, and I hope that example will be one that will continue to be heeded and respected all over the UK.
Mr. Jim Sheridan.
Mr. Speaker, contrary to the previous question from the member from Perth, this campaign has been fraught by fear and intimidation.
On your side.
But it's somewhat ironic, Mr. Speaker, that the majority of the Scottish separatists have turned out for today's debate, yet just last Friday, when we were discussing the important factor of welfare reform, less than half of them turned out to what debate. So it justifies their priorities to come here to whinge rather than debate.
I don't think I need add to the honourable member's description of the Scottish National Party.
Mr. David Amis.
Scottish pro-unionist friends have reminded me that the Middle East Peace Envoy, GQ Philanthropist of the Year award winner, reportedly has said that he welcomes the publication of the Chilcot report. So will my right honourable friend tell the House when we can expect the report to be published?
Well, I can tell him that this work continues, that Lord Chilcot has said that he intends to publish the report as soon as possible. Of course, there is no... I don't have any fixed date I can give to my honourable friend. I will only observe that had that inquiry been set up when I and others first called for it and voted for it back in 2006, it would have by now reported long ago. And so it was set up late. It is therefore reporting late, and we look forward to it.
Is it acceptable for young people to be fed takeaway pizza at lunchtime because the government has failed to prepare schools properly for the introduction of a free, nutritious meal?
Well, I think to put that into perspective, I think the latest figures are that 98.5% of schools are now providing a hot meal as they were intended to do to infants. That's going up all the time. There are government funds, of course, to help those schools who need new facilities to do so. And so I think it would be right to welcome the entirety of that picture rather than try to find fault with one small aspect of it.
Order.